Hi everyone, this is Carol with 4McForce. I am going live for the very first time in forever. Um, so this video is more for people who, as I, own your land and you wanted to build a house. And so you go shopping and you realize that post-COVID, the cost of building has increased significantly. So let's say a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house before COVID was 260, 250, 250,000, 260,000. Well, that same exact house and square footage is now 500,000 and up. So you don't want a $500,000 mortgage. Oh no. So what do you do now? As I did, you go shopping for double wides, right? I've seen a lot of creative people turn double wides and make them look like a stick built house. So we go to a couple double wide lots, we start looking, and then we realize that you have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath double wide for $110,000, $140,000. That's just for the home, okay? That does not include the cost to go and have environmental health approve the lot, because that's the first thing you have to do. You got to pull your structure, and then they have to go over there and pin it, and then they have to proceed to mark the 4 up with some good and that's your site. That's great. Once environmental health has approved all that, you want to make sure our property already had a septic, so you also want to make sure that it's okay with them to upgrade your septic tank from a 3-bedroom septic tank to a 5-bedroom septic tank, and just mark and add your ladder lines. We have that. This permit, once you pay for it, is good for 5 years. So you have 5 years to go and figure out what structure you're going to build. Like I said, I already know that I'm not going to do a stick-built house because I do not want a $500,000 mortgage. The price of construction has doubled since COVID. And then my interest rate went up, and I don't want to pay that 7% interest rate. That's high. I think that it's fair to say that we're all in the same boat where inflation is at its highest, cost of living has increased, and we're still making the same money. We haven't gotten a pay raise, y'all. So I'm trying to save money and everything, building, construction costs, because it's ridiculous right now what we're doing. You can't buy a dozen of eggs for less than $7, y'all. That's crazy, right? So all right, so I can't afford to buy a stick-built house because, number one, I don't want a $500,000 mortgage. Number two, I don't want to pay that 7%, 6% interest rate that they have right now. That's high. So then you go look for double wides. You see these 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom double wides. They're between 110 to 140. They have some that have the really thick drywall and don't have those strips. They have the nice baseboards and crown molding. Those are more expensive. Those are, 140, 150,000. To that, you already have your environmental health, the pad approved. You already have your septic tank refurbishing. So you give that to them, and then they're going to tell you that it's going to cost you between $50,000 to possibly $70,000 for the construction, which means the transportation, the setup, which is the plumbing, the electrical, the air conditioning, the foundation, the brick and the underpinning. And it could increase, like if you want a front porch, a back porch, all of that. So you're looking at, let's just say when it's all done and said, a double wide, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath double wide, front porch, back porch, $250,000. You still don't want to pay that 7% interest rate and have a double wide that won't give you any equity to your property, and you're on the hook for $250,000. You don't want to do that. So then you say, well, no, I'm not going to do that because it's silly, right? Who wants to have a mortgage and not ever have equity? Because at the end of the day, it's still a double wide. So you're like, okay, so interest rate is high, the cost of building is high, I don't want to have a double wide and not have equity. How am I going to get a house? I can't build a house from ground up myself, right? So then you look at modular homes. You go over here and they have these modular homes. Now, currently, if you didn't know, modular homes are built to stick-built home code. And they can run between $300,000 to $350,000. And then again, they're beautiful. You have even the 2-story plan, the ranch style plan, and that price increases because they also offer porches, and decks, and unfinished second story, etc. I still don't want to pay y'all that 6-7% interest rate. So what do I do? What do you do if you have land? Hey everyone. Hey, how are you? HAVACI81. Marla, hi. Hey, I need to add one of y'all as moderators so that we can also grow as I'm doing this live. This live will be pretty lengthy because it's a FYI of what I'm going to be doing and the project that I'm going to be doing for quite a while. So if one of y'all know how I can add one of y'all to be a moderator, let me know. Oh, I did not want that. So there we go. Bustin, HVAC 81, I just added you as a moderator if you wanted to stay and help out, and then we can also grow as we're watching this live. It's a very, very informative live for those who have land and want a home but don't like the interest rate and don't want to be on the hook for a $500,000 mortgage. So as I said, I don't want the interest rate. A stick built will be like $500,000. A double wide will be $250,000. Won't give me any equity. And a modular is between $300,000 and $350,000, depending if I want to finish second story or not, and then the size of the deck and steps, etc. What do you do next? So the first thing you want to do is you want to go to environmental health. You want to go and have it marked, the location of where you want to put your home, and you want to have it inspected. They're going to do a perk test for the soil, and they're going to map it with the GPS, and then they're going to check your septic tank. You're going to want to refurbish your existing septic tank from a whatever bedroom it is to a bigger bedroom if you need if you need to do that. It's relatively more affordable to upgrade. I have a 3-bedroom septic tank to a 5-bedroom septic tank and just add those 2 ladder lines as opposed to building a whole separate septic for this house. So that's done. When you go to environmental health, they've already inspected the soil, they've already checked the septic, they've already marked your ladder lines, they've already given you the permit. That's good for 5 years. The next thing you want to do is you want to start shopping for commercial modular office, y'all. This is why. The commercial modular offices are built just like stick built homes. A lot of time churches uses them as a temporary church while they're building their big, nice churches. We also see these commercial modular offices for schools, construction sites. There's a different number of commercial offices. The one that I bought was a funeral home office. It was built in 1998 and it's a 42 by 80. I'm doing good. I'm really, really busy. I've been doing a lot of work lately. Struggled with a lot of health issues earlier this year. I had a really bad UTI. I was diagnosed with POTS, and that was developed post-COVID. I had COVID, so because of COVID, I now have POTS. It's basically tachycardia. And it was making me dizzy. I thought I had diabetes at one point. I felt like I was passing out. Hey, Blue Fox, do you mind if I add you as a moderator? This is going to be a really long live because it's a FYI for those who want a home but don't want to be stuck with a $500,000 mortgage. And I just figured that whoever hop on would just grow and listen, and we can make new friends, right? Let me know, Blue Fox, if it's okay to okay, umbrella. Okay, so as I was saying, y'all, you got all the stuff you need for environmental health. You're shopping for a commercial modular office. Schools has them, churches has them, construction sites has them. And you can get these basically for free or really, really cheap. These are built as a stick home will be, up to code. It's the same code as a stick built home. These are normally built on site. So they don't have the wheels, the axles, the tongue that mobile homes have to be transported. Once you find this home, the first thing you need, inspection office, and you want to make sure that they are okay with you converting this commercial modular office to a residential floor plan. If they say that they're willing to work with you with this, then go ahead and shop around for the cost of moving. You have two options. You can have a house mover move it if your land, your driveway is wide enough to move it in one piece. This is very expensive. It can cost between $45,000 to $55,000 just because they're going to have to block the little roads, the back roads to your house. They charge you by the mile, and they're going to have escorts. So that's really, really expensive. But if your land allows you, if your driveway is wide enough, if you don't have like telephone lines and poles obstructing the area where you want to have your modular home put on, then go for it, because it's really the quickest way to have it set up. They come there and they just basically have it jacked up, and then once you've done your your foundation, they set it right in place in one spot. You don't have to worry about having to tear it down. Now they have modular offices that can come apart in 2 sections. Mine, however, came apart in 3 separate sections. My driveway and my road was not wide enough to transport it in one section, so I had to find a mobile home mover. When you're looking for a mobile home mover, you want to work with someone that's local, y'all. You don't want to have someone that's 2-3 hours away. Stay away from those that ask you to sign a contract and put half down to be added to the schedule. Most likely these are scammers. They're going to have you sign this contract, they're going to disappear, and they're never going to come pick up your unit, tear it down, transport it, and set it back up. work with someone that's local, someone that you have references, a friend and a friend knows. That's what I did. My mobile home mover was amazing, was very thorough, was very friendly, and very reasonable. So I now have my pad. I had environmental health approve it, pin it with a GPS, mark the ladder lines. I have my 5-year permit with environmental health. I've called the county inspection office. They said, yes, it's okay for me to go from a commercial office to a residential floor plan. So the next thing you do, you want to look inside the office to see who built the home, the office. So if they don't have the original engineer plans of how the home was built, I highly recommend that you look for the plates that have the manufacturer name. Contact them. Normally they have it on a file where you can pay to request for the original engineer plan. Okay, so long video. So you already have environmental come in, inspected your soil, make sure that it perked, it's already pinned. You have to mark, right, your 4 corners of where you intend to do your pad, where you're going to put your home. They've already pinned it. They've already marked your ladder lines. They already approved for you to go from a 3-bedroom septic to a 5-bedroom septic. That's what I did. The next thing will be for you to start shopping for a modular office. You shopped, you found one for free, right? Because they give these things away just because the cost to move them can go anything between $15,000 to $25,000, and they don't want to have to pay that. So normally they even give these away. So now you called your county inspection office. They said, sure, go for it. We are okay with you going from a commercial floor plan to a residential floor plan. The next thing you're going to have to do that I did not know, and I had to learn the hard way, is that if you have this unit and you don't have the plans of how it was built, you got to look for the plate of the manufacturer who built the home. Mine was Custom Homes out of Georgia. I looked them up. Fortunately, they're still in business. I requested the plans. They send them to me in an engineer plan, so I had to convert it to a PDF. I went to Staples. I printed out my plans. I had it as a PDF. What I did not know, and you will know because I'm sharing what I didn't know with you, is that you have to have a floor plan. You have to have an idea of how you want your layout to be. So sitting down and really thinking about where you want your kitchen, your bathrooms, your bedrooms, how you want your floor plan to look is very important. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but your engineer wants to know kind of what you want and how you like. And it's okay for you to take screenshots of floor plans, screenshots of like an exterior or an interior wall, so that you can give them a better idea. These people don't know you, but they want to know what you want, and they want to make it come to a reality by creating your floor plan. So you got your draft, and the next thing you want to do that I didn't do was look for a engineer. I shopped and I found an engineer that was local, and so the first thing you do is you tell them what they want. You send them your pictures via email or in person, and then you pay a deposit. After you pay the deposit, they kind of review everything you want, and then they schedule an on-site inspection with you. They want to go and look at the modular in person to make sure that it still is as the plans say, so that no modifications or alterations were made. So they go in there and they check the trusses, they check the floors, the walls, and they do everything digital with these lasers. Once that's done, just know that it will take some time. They work with construction builders and contractors, so they're very, very busy. If you're under the impression that you're going to call up a structural engineer and within a week or 2 weeks you're going to have your plans, you're wrong. It's going to take at least 3 to 4 months from start to finish. So you want to make sure that everything as you envision. In other words, that the window sizes are the way you want them, that the LVL beams are what you want and how you want it to look, that the bathrooms are just how you want it, and also your kitchen and your cabinets. Because once the plans are final, y'all, and you've submitted these for plan review, you got to stick to what's on there. Otherwise, you're going to have to contact your engineer and you're going to have him give you an okay letter approving whatever whatever alteration you want to do. If you want to remove a window, or if you didn't want this door there and you wanted it over here, he's going to have to approve it. He's going to have to give you a letter and you're going to have to pay for it and then resubmit that for that inspection. Inspection office are very strict about that. You got to stick to what's on your plan review and on your residential floor plan engineer plans. So you've already gotten your plan review from your engineer. You're going to go to the inspection office and you're going to submit your permit. You're going to submit for a plan review. You're going to go from a commercial office plan to a residential. You now have your engineer plans. You want to make sure that your seals and stamps are legible and are dark. You want to make sure that all the information are in the plans, and you submit it. Once you submit it, it takes 7 to 14 business days. 7 to 10 business days for them to approve it, just because my office, they do not have an on-site plan reviewer, so they are contracted. And so if they fail something, you're going to have to email them to find out what. They're not on site. You can't go in person and ask, and they can't give you their personal phone number. So just make sure that when you submit your plans for plan review, everything is legible, your seals, your plans, and you should be good to go. Once the plan review has passed, they will issue you a permit. When you have your permit number, you've already have an option to start your foundation. So you start shopping around for someone to do your foundation. That's the very first thing you do. And then once your foundation is done, then you're good to go to set up your move with either a home mover, if your land and perimeter of your driveway allows you to transport it in one section, or with a mobile home mover. If you go with a mobile home mover, just know that these modular offices are built on site and they're built with stick built home codes. So they do not have wheels, they do not have axles, they do not have the tongues. So all of that will have to be welded on, and depending on whether if you have 2 sections or 3 sections, that's how much extra the cost will be, because it takes a lot of labor to weld all these wheels, all the axles, and the tongues. They have to actually go out and buy them and weld them on, so it can increase the cost of your move. Mine was a 42 by 80, so it had to come apart in 3 different sections. So I needed 3 sets of 18 wheel and axles for each section, and 3 tongues for each section. And so they move it one by one. They set up all your piers onto your foundation, and they strap it down and tie it down and anchor it down. So once they're done, then you call for inspection. This is to inspect that everything is tied down as it should. Your inspection will go over there and go underneath, check the marriage lines, check the roof, make sure that everything is the way that it needs to be. And once you're done with that, y'all, then you start thinking about all the work you have ahead of you. I shopped around with 2 different contractors to have a kind of an estimate of how much it would cost me to, what do you call it, honey? Restore? Refurbish? Remodel? This unit, which includes demolition, gutted completely, and basically frame the walls, remove walls, add walls, and then you're turning it into your residential floor plan. So you're doing that, and you get an estimate, and you realize that it's an astronomical figure, that they're basically, you're getting charged the same amount to build a house from ground up as it would to remodel what you have. I did not feel comfortable with the estimates that I had. I did go speak to a lender, AG South, and they were very informative. They told me that yes, they do. If you own your own land and you have your deed, and you have an appraisal, they can use your land as collateral for you to finance the cost to remodel your modular office or your shipping container. I did not feel comfortable with my estimates. That was way above what I wanted to pay to have the demolition and the work done from start to finish. So now I am in the process of doing the demolition myself. My husband, my children, we're all working together as a team. Today was actually our second day doing the demo, and it's going a whole lot smoother than I thought it was. Having your plans, the physical copies, with you so that you could see where each room is going to go is very helpful, instead of having to look for the PDF file. So I have a board, and I have it pinned to the board right in the area that I'm working, and so that I know that the walls that I'm removing are the walls that I have to remove, and I'm also seeing which walls I'm going to have to add to make it a solid wall. So right now we have gutted the entire kitchen area. There was severe water damage on the ceiling, so it caused floor damage. So we're going to have to remove the 2x6s. What are those called, honey?
Joists, floor joists.
The floor joists. We're going to have to replace the floor joists on the whole section of the kitchen to the utility room. We're going to have to replace that back wall, and we're also going to have to fix the outer band. And so adding some posts to hold the weight on that ceiling while we're doing all that demo and remodeling. It's a bit challenging, but we've kind of figured it out. We've already tore down the bag that's underneath, removed the insulation. We've already cut out the plywood off the floor. Removed a wall, which is the wall for the pantry and the utility room. And so yeah, it's definitely a lot of work, but it can be done, y'all, if you have your land. If you don't want to be with a $500,000 mortgage. And if you don't want to have a double wide, which is something that it's okay, but it's not really what you wanted, then definitely shop for a commercial modular office. They give these for free. You do have to keep in mind that the only downside for this is that you will have to have the money for your floor plans, for your engineer plans, because you're converted it from a commercial office plan to a residential floor plan. So you have to have an engineer seal on those plans for it to pass plan review. So that can vary. Mine was about $6,100 because not only did I need a residential floor plan, but I also needed an updated foundation plan up to code, because the foundation plans that I had were 1998 and they would not let me grandfather them in since I was moving the structure from one county to another. So I had to get an up-to-date foundation plan. So that once you pay for your plans, then you have to have the money for your foundation, and your foundation can vary depending on the size of your modular office, the square footage, the amount of cement it's going to take. It can be very just vary depending on the size. Mine was 11,900. We needed how many piers?
72.
We needed 72 piers. Than what was there originally, just because we're removing some walls and we had to add extra piers for a support LVL beam, so that it would hold the weight for that ceiling. So our plans were 6,100. Our foundation was 11,900, and the move, because it had to come apart in 3 separate sections, was 24,500. That included the 3 tongues that they welded that are now there. I have to cut them off and take them to the scrapyard. But they did take their wheels and their axles completely off. They're now on the foundation itself. So now we are moving forward with the demolition. I don't know how long it's going to take us to do the demo, but I know that my dearest husband and I both love DIYs. We both love to save and not have to spend an arm and a leg to get something done. And so yeah, that's what we're doing and we're gonna do, and hopefully when it's all done and said, we will be mortgage free. It can be done, y'all. Do your homework. Always check and verify, right? You want to make sure that you cover all your bases. Call environmental health. If you have land but you do not have an existing well and septic, you will have to pull these permits at environmental health to make sure that the soil is approved for a well, to make sure that your soil is approved for septic. They're going to do a perk test that will let you know. Once that's done, then you gotta kind of let them know where you're going to put it. They come out there, they pin it with the GPS, and then from there on out, you already know you shop for a commercial modular office. You found one, just make sure you have your money for your foundation. You have your money, that's one. Number 2, you have your money for foundation, and number 3, you have your money for the move. Having those 3 bases, that's like your down payment per se, because then you can spend a little at a time. The demo is not really any expense, unless you run into what we have, which is we need to get new 2x6s, we need to get some brackets, some screws, and cut out the plywood, buy new plywood. But if your commercial office building doesn't have any damage, then you don't have to worry about any other than doing your demo and paying attention to your plans. And always call the inspection office. If you have an electrical question, call your inspector. They are always more than willing to help. They would actually rather you call and ask them, hey, is it okay for me to do this, as opposed to you to doing this, and then you call them and then they have to come back and tell you it failed because this is not how you do it. Ask questions. It's very important for you to be able to say, look, I've never done this, but I'm doing it myself. How am I supposed to do this? Is it okay for me to call for a framing inspection first? Then you learn that no, you do all your framing first, and then you all your drywall from your installation, see all the switches. You're going to want to make sure, at least in my state, that you have an outlet 4 feet from the door.